Hello everyone, the Symbiote Soldier 3 here, and welcome to the Spider-Man The Animated Series Honest Review for Season 2. Now, before I actually get into this, I want to give my overall thoughts on Season 1 since I never did. I just don't think I did. So I'm just going to recap my final thoughts if I didn't already give them. It was kind of okay. Sure, there were certain episodes that stand out and I love them, or just really like them. But there are some episodes that are just okay. But anyway, let's get right in to Season 2. Now let's talk about... Now, if you guys are going to ask about the plot, that was already covered in my Season 1 honest review as I go over the plot of Spider-Man in general, not this specific show. But actually I kinda lied, considering there is a season-long arc this time, instead of just setting up the universe, I guess. So, let's go over the plot of Season 2. So, we find out in the first episode that Spider-Man is mutating to what will eventually become the Man-Spider. Now I gotta say, watching this season as a kid kind of gave me nightmares. As when Spider-Man actually mutated, it just got creepy, and it's just very unsettling. But anyway, let's go up. But I just don't want to give away too many spoilers unless there's a specific episode that I don't mind spoiling. So let's go over the characters. Now we'll only be going over newly introduced characters unless one specific character, one specific episode features a bit of character development. So let's start off with our first new character in Madam Web. I'm going to be honest, I never really cared for her in the comics or in any other form of Spider-Man media. But for some reason, I just like this version of Madam Web. I can't explain it. She's just some girl with magical powers who gives Spidey tips. Very cryptic tips. But I just like her in this version. Not exactly sure why I like her in this version, but I do. Very much, honestly. She's a contender for my favorite character in the entire show. That shows a decent bit. And that's the only real hero, I think, at first. I will recap that if I am wrong. But now let's get into the episodes. The first episodes, yes, is the Insidious 6 two-parter. Now, if you are fellow Spider-Man fans like me, you will know, hey, it's the Sinister Six. Are you sure you're a Spider-Man fan? Like, really? But in this show, they're called the Insidious 6 for some reason. And the team consists of Doc Ock, Shocker, Rhino, Scorpion, Mysterio, and the Chameleon. And they're all on the hunt for Spider-Man, while he's starting to lose his powers from genetic mutation. No. Genetic mutation. Genetic. I am a genius. And I found this decently enjoyable. It set up the mutating very well, and we got to see the 6 major villains who weren't basically lost their powers or abilities from the first season. So yeah, these were some pretty good episodes to start off with. Now let's talk about. Oh crap! I forgot that name of the episode. I'll be right back. All right. So next episode is "I Cried Over a River for You," where we get introduced to another one of my favorite villains from the series, Morrison Beck, aka Hydro Man, where he's MJ's ex-girlfriend who goes psycho and has hydrokinesis. Don't know why I exclaimed it like that. But and he just wanted to try and make out to his girlfriend, and when she says no because she's seeing Peter, he takes it to extreme lengths, and, well, yeah, I can definitely see why he's a good villain. Other incarnations of the character are just bland and boring. At least from what I've heard of it. I haven't, and he hasn't been seen too much yet. At least in the realm of animation. But the next episode presents quite a few problems that the show. One of the major problems I have with the show overall. Well, let's talk about the X-Men two-parter. Yes, there was a crossover with the X-Men. And while I like the X-Men just fine, heck, I'm probably going to make an honest review of the animated series that was happening at the same time as the Spider-Man animated series. But there are just episodes where just randomly Spidey just teams up with a random hero. And I kind of get this one considering that Fox Kids, well, Fox more specifically, at the time was making X-Men and Spider-Man cartoons, so it kind of makes sense to at least have one episode where they cross over, but there are times where they cross over with heroes that don't even have an animated show by Fox at the time. But with that major problem with the show aside, this two-parter was pretty good, honestly. I mean, we got to see Wolverine, Beast, Storm, Rouge, Cyclops, and Gambit. Didn't see any of Jubilee or Jean Grey. Which, to me, I would just like to see the whole main cast. And yeah, I forgot that we even get Professor Xavier, and it has a good setup at first, where Spider-Man tries to meet Charles Xavier because he's mutating, but he wants him to fix it instead of trying to have Spider-Man embrace it. Which wouldn't work, as we'll see later in the season, but I don't want to spoil anything. So let's move on to the next episodes. I need to, kind of forgot, so I'll be right back. Alright, so the next episode we're going to talk about is Morbius. Now I'm gonna lie, this was kind of underwhelming. Morbius just isn't that good of a villain. And the show, so many episodes center around him being the villain. I mean, if this was something like on the qualities of Hobgoblin, then yeah, I'd happily take that. But no, Morbius is just generic villain who needs to feed on plasma. At first, not blood, plasma, because rated E for everyone, even embryos. And he gets, well, mainly because he gets a genetic bat bite because he was snooping around in Peter's locker and found that research that turned him into Spider-Man and was trying to cure himself. And they kind of ruined the arc as they establish the Punisher. Where, Punisher, I'm fine with him being in the show. Not sure if he was this at the time, if he was still just this at the time, but Punisher used to be a Spider-Man villain. Maybe some of you knew that, maybe some of you didn't. You didn't, the more you know. If, did, good job reading the source material. So it kind of makes sense to have him take a villainous role in this, right? But it just, because Spidey's mutating and everyone just thinks he's pure evil. And it just gets really dumb. But let's move on to the next episode before I have an aneurysm. With Blade, the Vampire Hunter. Yes, we have 2 crossovers in the same season. Now, I wouldn't mind if it was in the crossover arc of a bit, like they do later in the series, but Blade didn't even have a show at the time. Closest he did was the Blade movies. To the point where Blade isn't from the comics, unless they changed him to look like he did from the movie in the comics, because of how good the movie did. Whether you like them or not, it doesn't matter. They did well. They sold. And he's just, Morbius is bad. And Spidey, I think, is, going off of memory, I think he's trying to help Morbius, but I may be wrong on that last part. Anyway, let's talk about Hunters. I think it's Hunter versus Hunter or something. It's like Night of the Hunters. Yeah, it's like that or something. Where, Kravinoff comes back. Not as Kraven the Hunter, but to help his fiancée. Cures Spider-Man of his mutation of the Man-Spider. And Vare said that this gave me nightmares as a kid. So, I don't think I need to go into more detail. It's okay. But now let's look at the next episodes. I'll be right back. Okay, so, I kind of get some of the episodes mixed up in order, but it's fine. I still covered the correct episodes. But now, let's talk about the Immortal Vampire, where we finish off this stupid Morbius arc that I just don't like at all. I just don't find it entertaining. And this is probably going to be my least favorite season. The Morbius arc just ruins it for me. I used to love it, but now that I've looked at it more with a critical eye, instead of just, whoa, this show is cool, it's just bad. Sorry, Spidey. But, now I have to go get some more episodes. Be right back. Alright, so I have 2 more 2-parters. Let's talk about the Tablet of Time 2-parter. Where basically almost every criminal faction in the entire city is after the same artifact. Kingpin wants it. One of the newer villains, Silvermane, wants it. And Hammerhead. Hammerhead's technically working for Silvermane, but whatever. And it's okay. It's not as bad as the Morbius 5-parter. Or like 4 or 5. I don't care. It's like extremely long and it's dumb. But it's okay. And now the 2 episodes that ended off this weird season, the Vulture 2-parter. Well, of course, if we're going to talk about the Vulture 2-parter, we have to talk about the Vulture. They did something weird with the Vulture. Under normal circumstances, he's just an old coon who wants to prove to all the people who doomed him wrong that despite his age, his technology is the best around. I don't know if I'm going to get a copyright strike for that, probably. But instead, they make him have technology where it turns him younger by absorbing the youth, and the first part ends with him making Spider-Man old, and I'm like, what? It's a weird one. Not in the same way that the Morbius 4-parter is weird, but it's weird in a bit of a good way. I don't know if you could classify it as a good way of being. But I will tell you one thing, it is weird. It's just, what is happening? And Vulture is weird. As they make him permanently young throughout the rest of the series. Because I remember it being like that. I think he was temporarily like 80 or 90, however he's old. Or maybe even 70, however many years he is. But then it's just like next time he appears, he's young again. It's like, what? What? Alright, let's stop talking about these weird episodes. And something that I didn't talk about, well, I forgot to talk about in the first episode of the Sonic Review series. Character design and animation. It's okay. For the most part, looking at you, Blade, the designs are comic accurate. Completely, which, at least I think so. There may be minor changes, but most of the major characters and villains have the same designs as the comic books. And the art style is just kind of generic. And the animation varies from okay to, this is honestly pretty good. But final verdict. I usually don't say this, but this season is just weird. I mean, I like the Spider-Man mutation stuff. That was fine. Like, we had a Blade crossover just because Morbius is a vampire. And he doesn't appear again throughout the entire series. Well, I did like the X-Men crossover. The Blade one was just weird. And the Morbius arc weird, and the Vulture 2-part are just weird. A lot of these episodes are just weird. And the Morbius stuff is just bad. In my opinion, of course. So, yeah. For the most part, you can watch the X-Men crossover 2-parter if you want to, but besides that, I'm pretty sure you can skip season 2 and it'll unaffect you, besides maybe a few introductions to characters. But, anyway, I've been Symbiote Soldier 3, and I will see you all what is next time? I think it's gonna be Honest Review Season 3. I might be able to get one video, which I'm planning to be a return to Let's Plays, before Thanksgiving, and that might be it. But if I can get it, video on Friday will most likely be like 0. So until then, stay cool everyone, and I'll see you all, well, then.